Renaissance means rebirth. Society was reborn after the Middle Ages. Historical causes of the Renaissance. Economic factors.
The Renaissance began in Italy. The growth of trade and commerce in Italian city-states like Florence and Venice fueled economic prosperity. Additionally, Italy recovered from the Black Plague earlier than the rest of Europe. Rome was the center of Roman history. Increased wealth led to patronage of the arts by wealthy families like the Medici, supporting artists and scholars. Trade with the Byzantine Empire brought a revival of classical knowledge and texts to Western Europe.
Cultural revival. There was a renewed interest in classical Greek and Roman art, literature, and philosophy. Humanism emphasized the potential and achievements of individuals, promoting education and intellectual growth. The invention of the printing press by Johannes Gutenberg facilitated the spread of ideas and knowledge.
Political stability in Italy allowed for the flourishing of arts and culture. The shift from feudalism to centralized monarchies provided stability and support for artistic endeavors. Competition between city-states like Florence and Rome spurred artistic innovation and creativity.
The Renaissance had a profound impact on art and architecture. Artists began to explore new techniques and perspectives, leading to a remarkable transformation in how art was created and perceived. Architecture saw the revival of classical styles, with a focus on symmetry, proportion, and geometry. The use of perspective and proportion in art revolutionized artistic techniques. Emphasis on individual creativity and expression led to diverse art forms and styles. Key individuals like Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Raphael, and Donatello, not just mutant Ninja Turtles, played pivotal roles. Artists like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo created masterpieces that reflected humanism and realism. Michelangelo was a painter, sculptor, architect, and poet. He painted the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel using fresco, a technique of painting on fresh plaster. He is famous for the creation of Adam and the Last Judgment. His sculptures include the Pietà, Moses, and David. Da Vinci was an artist, inventor, and botanist. He influenced other artists and painted the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper. He dissected human corpses to learn more about the body for more realistic paintings. He designed early versions of the helicopter, tank, parachute, hang glider, pedometer, submarine, and many other inventions. Donatello was a sculptor, famous for his bronze David, a copy of Michelangelo's piece. Raphael, a painter, blended Christian and classical styles. His famous painting is the School of Athens. There were also famous writers like Niccolo Machiavelli, who observed kings at court and wrote The Prince, a how-to book on getting and keeping power as a ruler. Baldassare Castiglione played music, studied literature and history, and wrote the Book of the Courtier about how to act as a noble. Architectural innovations. During the Renaissance, there was a revival of classical architectural styles, such as the use of columns, domes, and arches. Grand cathedrals and palaces were constructed to showcase wealth and power. Art and architecture were integrated into buildings to create harmonious spaces.
The Renaissance moves north 100 years after it began in Italy. Why? Well, Northern Europe recovered from the plague more slowly.
Key individuals. Albrecht Dürer, an artist, was often called the German Leonardo. He created engravings, prints, and paintings. Hubert and Jan van Eyck were Flemish painters who developed oil paints and painted realistic scenes. They created the Virgin of the Chancellor and the wedding portrait. Peter Bruegel, another artist, used vibrant colors to paint peasant life. He created the peasant wedding and the peasant. Peter Paul Rubens was a painter who mixed realistic style with classical themes. Erasmus, a Dutch writer, wanted the Bible translated into the vernacular or everyday language and called for church reforms. He wrote a new edition of the Bible in Greek and Latin. Sir Thomas More an English writer, wanted social and economic reforms, including no private property, education for all, and justice to be used to end crime. He wrote Utopia, a book describing the ideal society. William Shakespeare, an English playwright, created 1,700 new words and wrote 37 plays in 23 years. His plays included Romeo and Juliet, Macbeth, and Hamlet. Miguel de Cervantes, a Spanish writer, wrote the first modern novel. He is famous for the book Don Quixote.
Renaissance science.
Key discoveries. The East is not flat. The Sun, not the Earth, is the center of the solar system. All living organisms are made up of cells. Modern experimental methods were first used during the Renaissance. Variables were controlled, careful observations were made and recorded, and results were shared and experiments replicated. Key individuals. François Viète made significant contributions to algebra, laying down principles that would later form the basis for modern algebraic notation and equations. Leonardo da Pisa, an Italian mathematician commonly known as Fibonacci, introduced Hindu-Arabic numerals to Europe, revolutionizing mathematical notation and calculation methods. Isaac Newton. His three laws of motion describe the relationship between the motion of an object and the forces acting on it. Also, the laws of gravity. Galileo, telescopic observations, law of falling bodies, the experimental method, heliocentric solar system, theory the Earth was not flat. Leonardo da Vinci. Anatomical studies gave deeper understanding of the internal body and engineering concepts. Nicholas Copernicus. Heliocentric model and laws of planetary motion, describing the motion of planets around the Sun. Andreas Vesalius. Conducted original dissections, published detailed anatomical illustrations, discovered optic nerve, argued the brain was a changing organ. Robert Hooke. Hooke's law of elasticity and cell theory. Renaissance inventions. The rudder. This was a movable rudder, created in the 1200s, which greatly increased steering control of a ship. The printing press. Johann Gutenberg invented a printing press in the mid-1400s that used movable type. This allowed books to be printed quicker. The Gutenberg Bible is considered to be one of the first books ever printed. Eyeglasses. Originally created in the 1300s, with the invention of the Gutenberg press in the 1400s, demand for eyeglasses increased. Far-sighted glasses for reading were created first. Later on, near-sighted glasses were created. Clocks. Galileo invented the pendulum, and this made for better timekeeping in clocks. Water clocks and hourglasses. Water clocks and hourglasses were widely used in the 1500s. Lenses. Lenses were used for more than eyeglasses. In 1606, Galileo created a telescope to look at the stars and planets. Isaac Newton made the first reflecting telescope in 1668. The watch, a portable timepiece, created by Peter Henlein in 1505. It was a pocket watch, spring-powered, making it smaller than other watches. The wristwatch wasn't in wide use until the 1800s. The digital calculator, created by Blaise Pascal in 1642 to help his father count taxes. The submarine, created by Cornelius van Drebbel in 1624. It was a leather rowboat with oars protruding from watertight seals. The sub could stay underwater for only a few hours and only went about 15 feet underwater. The flush toilet. Sir John Harington created a valve in 1589 that would release water from a water closet. It was recommended to flush the toilet only once or twice per day. The thermometer. In 1593, Galileo invented the first thermometer. However, in 1714, Gabriel Fahrenheit invented the first mercury thermometer, which is the basis for the modern-day thermometer. The musket. Created in Spain in the 1500s, this musket could fire a small metal ball that could seriously hurt or kill someone. However, it weighed about 40 pounds and was over 6 feet long, so it was difficult to use. The match. Created by Robert Boyle in 1680. Boyle discovered that when phosphorus and sulfur were rubbed together, this would produce a flame. However, these matches were not always safe, as they would sometimes burst into flames when inside someone's pocket.